What is up, friends? In this episode, myself and a friend of mine, Erik with a K, link to his YouTube channel down below in the description, did a collaborative episode where we both put together a programming guide as well as a bunch of free resources. So in the link in the description will be a 90-minute Christmas Youth Ministry program event. Go grab it, go use it, whatever elements of it you can. We got graphics, we got games, we got the full run sheet, we got like Sidekick files from Download Youth Ministry, whatever you need. But don't forget, listen, the whole goal of this is I want you to have whatever, like all the things that you need to make an amazing Christmas event. After this, we're going to dive into a little bit more of a explainer episode where we talk through the vision and the strategy and the reasons why we set the events up the way that we do. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you know about other episodes like this that are gonna drop. They're also no doubt gonna offer tons of free stuff. Don't forget, and as always, stay hybrid. Enjoy the episode. Well, what's up, everybody? Welcome to this kind of like collaborative show. I'm Nick Clayson. This is Erik. And we wanted to give you guys a completely done for you Christmas event. And so we're going to talk through that. But before we do, we got to get really important business out of the way. Erik, what is the best Christmas movie in your estimation?
There's so many. I love Christmas. And I'm a nothing Christmas before the day after Thanksgiving guy.
You're a holiday purist.
We battle about that because I'm like, Thanksgiving needs its time, right? Because I think it takes away some of the specialness that's why Christmas songs, it's like a month and a few days.
Yep.
So the first movie we watch, it used to be Miracle on 34th Street, but now the first movie we watch is Elf.
Okay. Yeah.
Sometimes after Thanksgiving dinner, but usually in the morning after we watch the Macy's Day Thanksgiving Parade.
Did you know that Elf is turning 20 this year?
Yes, I just saw that. I'm like 20 years. I actually, when I saw that post, I was like, I got to look that up. It was 2003.
I'm so old, man. I was in middle school.
I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, wild times.
8 years, maybe.
Yeah. Elf is also a fave for sure. But one that my family always watched on Christmas Eve was Jingle All the Way. So the Turbo Man one, I just think it's so funny. Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's a little niche and people don't get it and vibe with me as much on it, but I think it's hilarious. I think the Postman is super funny, and in my family, our stuff's already up. We've decorated day after Halloween. We're on it. We're already watching our little family Christmas movies. So.
I joke that in California it's against the law to play Christmas music before the day after Thanksgiving. People are like, are you serious? And then I just leave it. I don't answer.
Yeah. Look it up, people. Link in the show notes. Well, hey, we both, each, wherever you are, if you're on Erik's platform, mine, whatever, we have a free download. And we got a few resources in there, a few graphics, and also just here's a Christmas event for you. So if you're anything like me, you maybe are like, oh, snap, Christmas is coming and it's time to get an event on the calendar. You don't need to think. This is done for you. Literally plug and play everything from games, icebreakers, messages. But what we wanted to do in this episode was talk through a little bit, not just here's the what, but a little bit more of the why. So we're going to put the run sheet, at least I will, on screen so you guys can see it. But as we walk through it, let's just chat through the strategy. Why is this thing there? Why is that thing, whatever. So Erik, you took the first kind of rough draft of this. So why don't you share, your kind of philosophy of why things are set up the way they're set up on this?
Yeah, no, that's great. So I love having something to give me a guardrail of kind of the here's what we're doing. Okay. And then giving anybody who's involved in running the event, give a copy of the run sheet so that everybody knows who's doing what. And on there, it says people. We don't have names on there. That's for you to put in there. We'll leave those things blank so you can place in who's doing what for each of those things. Then when the time comes for somebody to be up, they're ready. And one of the things I think is really important, the person who is the host for the specific thing should also have somebody who brings out, whether it's the table with the game on it or the prizes or whatever it is, so that they don't have to worry about that. All they're doing is worrying about their job of running that segment of the evening. And I think
let me
things,
stop you right there
yeah.
on that. Do you have volunteers do that? Do you have people as a member of the production team? Like I'm talking carry the supplies and props out to the table. How have you navigated that in your time of being a youth pastor?
Yeah, so a couple of different ways. One, for sure, volunteers. Like we do a volunteer meeting every month, and we do three things in this. This is like side note, but we do encouragement, we do training, and we do planning. And so the encouragement's usually wrapped around a meal. Then the training is whatever the topic is that we want to help them to equip them to be better volunteers, and then planning. So when we do the planning for the Christmas party, we will talk about all of the things that we're going to do. That's where we brainstorm ideas, we put that together. That's where we decide who's going to be the host for the game, and then who's bringing the table out. Like we do, I love doing minute to win it games. So there's somebody who needs to come and bring that table out and then take it off. So I've had volunteers do it. We've had student leadership students do that. And then in those times where there's been a production team, like I give that to whoever's overproduction to take care of worrying about those things. So the people who are doing the actual segment just worry about their part.
Yeah, that's good. So in like practicality, you may have your Christmas or your December meeting, earlier, right? Than like 2-3 weeks earlier. Do people remember that? Do you have another touch base like night of? How does that
so we'll
work?
have a touch base. Usually it'll be like we typically will do our midweek is where we do our event. So on Sunday we'll do a 15-minute connect kind of after church. Hey, here's a touch base. Be there if you can. Like I try to have all the volunteers an hour early because students tend to show up about a half hour before an event starts.
Yeah.
Even though we say doors open at this time, they're there at least a half hour early.
And but you always leave kids locked out, right?
Exactly. Try to have them ready beforehand.
Yeah.
And we do a quick, okay, here's our cue, here's our cue, here's our cue. This is where all the things are. I've laid them all out for them and some volunteers aren't working and have the ability to come in at any time of day.
Sure.
Grab those leaders and say, hey, can you come in 4 hours early and help me set up all the tables, everything. So
yeah, love it. So then let's dive into it then. So right off the bat, we have the element is pre-service. We need some Spotify like playlists. So we got that in there, clickable. You guys can go ahead and grab it. Tell me what you're trying to create, right, in this environment. What are we looking for here?
Yeah, so in this spot, what I want is for it to feel Christmassy, right? Like build excitement. There's Christmas music playing in the background. Sometimes on the screens I'll have for the earlier portion of the pre-service, I'll have a Christmas movie. Now I'm really careful with Christmas movies, or any movies for that matter, because I show something that maybe I'm not showing the moment that there is like something that could tend to be inappropriate or whatever. But I'm really careful because students will go home and go, hey, we watched this at church. Can we watch it at home? And then they watch it at home and there's this moment. I'm like, oh, I didn't even think about that moment. So I'm really careful. But sometimes I have that in the background. And then I love doing a hot cocoa bar during pre-session and not during the event. I mean, they can go back, but the event is so packed with stuff. Like taking a 20-minute break to go create hot cocoa feels like, I've got all these things I want to do, but now we're doing this. So that kind of builds this atmosphere of like, okay, not only is there music, there's a movie on the background, but I can make hot cocoa and I've got all sorts of fun stuff that, chocolate spoons and whipped cream and sprinkles and all that stuff. I think it builds something to the feel of what that night's going to be.
Yeah.
And I think building an environment, like a feeling to an environment, is important.
Yeah, one of my favorite hacks to steal from the name of your show is I like doing like a pre-roll that has like announcements. And this is, for a Christmas party, I may do something a little bit different, but just on an ongoing regular basis, right? And as opposed to a lot of times you'll see, like, you can go on DYM and get millions of 5-minute countdowns. I don't like playing a 5-minute countdown. What I actually like to do is to just take a 5-minute timer and put it over top of my looping announcements, because like at our church, we do that in like big service where like a 5-minute countdown comes on. All the looping announcements now are gone. So only people that showed up early enough to see them, they're the people that already know what's going on anyway. Like, you know, it's the people that are walking in late or right as it's about to start that still need it. So that's one of my favorite pre-service hacks, pre-service countdowns. But you can do whatever you guys want. Like we said, there's a million different options out there. DYM you can grab for just a few bucks, Christmas countdowns, whatever. So anything else before we get to like our welcome and our host on stage and just talking through what we want out of them?
Yeah, well, you can see that on the run sheet under people, like greeters, check-in, first-time guest team. Put your friendliest people. I think this should be for every time you meet. Put your friendliest people at the doors, right? Yeah. Students and adults. Get them there, high-fiving students. I think that's really important that they're smiling. They're, you know, they're dressed in their Christmas gear. And it's like, it's because when somebody comes for the first time, they're not necessarily mentally like going through a checklist, but without even knowing it, they're going through a checklist. Like, do I like what I'm seeing? Do I feel invited? Do I feel welcome? Does it feel fun?
Yeah.
And if I had a volunteer one time, actually I was volunteering at this church and they had a volunteer that was like Mr. Grumpy Pants, super nice guy, like discipleship, like all that. But for front, like he'd be sarcastic, like, oh, glad you finally came back. I'm like, you don't want that guy at the front. Put that guy back, help him, have him sell snacks or whatever. But
yeah, that's not the guy.
But then the first time guest team, like having somebody that's getting their information, you know, this is for another episode, but like giving them a gift bag at the end of the night that has some of your information in there or whatever, like that. And is charge of follow-up, like their role is to make that first time guest, like if they're not coming with a friend, somebody, they just showed up, they get them connected to somebody in their grade. I think that's super, super important. Again, it's all about environment, making an environment that's friendly and welcoming atmosphere.
Yeah, I mean, just listen, think about it. Like if you go to someone's house, a couple weeks ago, we went to a neighbor's house for like Halloween before trick-or-treating, and they weren't like ready, right? They're like getting stuff cooked up in the kitchen and, you know, like creating everything for like the gathering of people. Like that's one environment versus like I was just telling you before we hit record, we're in a like a summit. Our church has like a bunch of church planters. So they bring people from all across the world here one time a year. And that's going on right now on the other side of our campus. And like every time I've walked in there, they've had a gift bag for me. Or like this giant box of like swag that I just walked over here with. Like they thought about us, right? They thought about the fact that we were going to be there. So compare Halloween when like it's kind of frantic and the house is still kind of messy and they're getting ready versus like a gift bag and people there at the doors to greet you. Those are both real things and real parties that happened, but one makes you feel like $1 million and one makes you feel like you're mildly inconvenient for being there. So
yeah,
you know
and typically
how that feels.
When you invite somebody into your home, you're greeting them at the door, right? And then you're engaged in conversation during the whole time you're together, and you greet them at the door. You see them out. You actually often will go outside and wave to them as they drive away.
Yep.
Like I think we should take that and employ that into our ministries.
Yeah, hospitality, 100%. So, all right, sweet. So, have awesome greeters, crush it. Also, like you said, this is another episode for another day, but like capture people's information and do something about it. Follow up with them, have a gift bag, send them a postcard, send them a text, whatever the case might be, but have some sort of intentional follow-up strategy. Again, we won't dive into that because we're in the Christmas episode. So now we're at the welcome. What are you envisioning as you put this run sheet together happening at the welcome of this Christmas party?
So at the welcome, You want to put friendly faces, enthusiastic people, whether it's you or I like having, if you have the ability, if you have the leadership, if you get enough people to have one guy and one girl leading, just something about that balance I think is really good. And being able to feed off each other instead of just being one person, it can't happen all the time. I get that. But if you have the ability, even if it's a student that's being a counterpart, I think is really important. And then immediately do like a giveaway. And DYM, if you're a DYM person, you have Sidekick. You can also get Sidekicks separately if you don't want to pay the full $25 a month or whatever it is.
But which, side note, neither of us get any sort of kickback from this, but it is worth it. It is.
Somehow they're like, yeah, we don't do affiliate programs. I'm like, okay.
It's worth asking.
But, yeah, we don't get anything. But their Sidekick, they have like this name generator where you plug in the names of students as they check in. You get their names, and then you put it, and it'll go through. You'll see your name, and then you just have somebody yell stop, and then they click stop. And that person wins. You can also do it with a raffle if you want to. Where you have two of the same number, they keep one, you put one in the bucket or whatever. That works as well. But I like the idea of giving something away like in the first few minutes.
Yeah.
Because
right
it's like,
top.
Yeah, I can win something right now. And those who came late miss out on some of that stuff. And they're like, oh, maybe I'll think about the future.
Yeah. Which here's a hack, right? So if like in our context, I had the like lady who oversees our database, which is what's linked in with our check-in system. So she created a search for me. So anytime anyone checks in within the last day, it'll give me their name. So as opposed, right, to me getting a full mailing list of all of our students and putting their names in People Picker, then it's like, oh, that guy's not here. He didn't come, right? That's kind of a womp womp moment. When you get an actual like dynamic list, which most check-in systems, whether you're using CCB or The Rock or Realm or whatever, will have some way for you to run a report that you can get an actual dynamic list of the students there, or just grab a super volunteer who takes the spreadsheet, right? But if you're doing it off the top, you gotta, like you said, Eric, you gotta have that, you gotta think through that ahead of time, right? Who's gonna grab this sheet? How many minutes before it actually starts? Because if it's a few minutes before it starts, you're still probably gonna miss a few kids who are checking in after you input the names or whatever. But being able to produce that right off the top, I think also shows a level of just polish and professionalism, and also like, hey, we thought about you being here. Like, we got a plan to give something away, and it's right now, and look at how we were able to get it in this computer, which the kids don't think about it. But if it doesn't work, or if it's janky, or if you're waiting until the end because you're waiting for all the names, like, they may notice that. They're probably not going to notice, like, wow, how'd they get all these names in here? Kids don't usually pay attention to stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it does communicate something.
It's funny you say that. Like, they don't really pay attention to that. But when it's missing, because when parents pick up their kids, they ask two questions. How was it tonight? And did you have fun?
Yeah.
Now, if they're coming from like a Sunday morning or like a service, it's like, how was it and what'd you learn? Yeah. But like the fun part, like they're going to talk about whether they have fun. Oh, I saw my name. I didn't win, but they may actually talk about that. I know that I've watched where like Doug and Josh from Download Youth Minsitry have done giveaways live on screen. And I've seen my name come up across because mine stands out because I always put with AK, Eric with AK in there. But we see our names, even if it's just like, it's super fast. Mm-hmm. No, here's another hack. If you don't want to download that, if you don't want to pay for that, wheelofnames.com is a freebie. Now it's got some advertisements around it or whatever, but you can, it's just a website and you can plug in people's names and you can shuffle it and all that stuff. It's free. And I've used that a few times over the years as well. Super, super simple and really easy. Yeah. Easy.
Yeah. So something about hype, something about fun, and something about giveaway, whatever it is, the first 5 minutes, we're keeping it light. We're letting them know we thought about them. And now we're moving on into actual stuff, actual content. Is there anything else we missed with the welcome before we move on?
If you've got an announcement you want to hit, like I would do that at the end of the time as well. So that's where they'll remember it. but like you want to invite them. I love inviting people from a party to a party.
Yeah.
Like, hey, it's next month, or or winter retreats coming. It's in January, whatever.
Yeah.
Give those cards out at the end, but talk about it in the front end. So then we're jumping into our first game.
Yeah.
And
which
you've got some games you're giving free
to
our viewers today.
Yeah, absolutely. So 2 different games I'm going to be giving away. Both of them on DYM for a few bucks, but for you, if you click the link in the download, free for you, whichever one of our videos you're clicking on. This first one here is called Who or What is on the Screen. So think catchphrase, right? It's literally like there's a clue and a timer, and you have to get it figured out. You can do this however many different ways you want. You can pull up a contestant, which if you wanted to do name picker again to grab a few contestants, you can do that. Sometimes I like to let a game, another game, create my contestants. So I might do some sort of like trivia game, or like first person to answer this question, first person to bring me this thing. Because they do that, they're a contestant, or whatever. You can get a contestant on stage. You can also just like, in our environment, we do tables. I'm a huge fan of like round tables. And so that would be a way that you could play this game where every table, you're playing this game. And so anyway, counts down, 3, 2, 1, boom, something shows up on the screen and you got a countdown timer. And one person has to try and guess what is on the screen. Who or what is on the screen. That's the whole point of the game. And well, here's a little pro tip. If it's getting boring, or if it's getting like people are getting it quickly, you can kind of build in. If you use like Pro Presenter, you can make the time go quicker. So you can play it at 1.5 or 2 times speed to increase the difficulty as you get to the end, which is another one of my favorite ways to build a game. Start it off with a couple softballs, and then at the end, crank up the difficulty so that it's like borderline impossible. I hate when you get to the end of a game and everyone got all 10 questions, or is super boring, super easy. So I'm always trying to go from easy to difficult. So one way to even take it up another level is in your pre-programming, or in your putting in the computer, you can make the speed go quicker, make it more challenging, make it more difficult the last few questions. So
yeah,
super fun game.
There's a number of ways. Like I like the idea of giving away a prize, and it could be to one student. Like if you're bringing a couple of people up front and the person who gets the most. I also like what you said, having tables and having that at each table.
Yep.
You can make it simple then. If they get it right, they get a candy cane.
Yep, easy.
Right? But if you're just having a few up front, there's a number of ways. Like I use a spin that wheel thing for giveaways from Sidekick on DYM. Or you can also use the wheel of names. There's a great resource on YM360 that like it's the claw machine, and it grabs, you can get students' heads, but you can also do prizes.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
So lots of ways you can give away prizes, but if it is at tables, you can just do candy canes, and that's cheap.
Yep. All kinds of different ways to adapt it, but it's a Christmas based, kind of guessing game. And the strategy behind it, right, is let's get kids laughing, let's get kids interacting. Let's not make it about what's up front, or even if it is, it's fun up front, not pay attention up front. It's let's get these kids. And I heard someone once say, like, fun is the currency of teenagers. So let's lock into that and just create some fun moments. So
and
then
I would
beyond
say
that,
too, Nick,
go ahead.
like a kind of a pro tip. If it feels like it's dragging, you don't have to do all of the questions.
Yes, bro. I can't tell you the last time I did all of the questions in any game. I'm out of that thing faster than you can think. And it's not speed, right? I'm not done with it in 2 minutes. If you got good hosts, they're feeling it out, they're playing off the crowd, they're pulling people up, they're kicking people off, and they can get through 5 questions in 10, 15 minutes, as opposed to just like, all right, next one, all right, next one, all right, next one. That's very rote, that's very boring. So you got to know how to make the screen game kind of come to life.
Yeah.
So.
All right, next on the list, we put down minute to win it games.
Yep.
And if you don't know what that is, just go on YouTube and search minute to win it Christmas games. Yeah. You're going to get a bevy of games. I mean, it's one of my favorites is where I forget the name of it, but you take a tissue box, pull out all the tissues, and then you put jingle bells inside. You put bells inside of it, and then poke a hole to use what's the word for Christmas wrap? But you put a ribbon. Thank you.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You use ribbon as the rope that goes around. You tie it around your waist, and then it's shaking. You're just kind of jumping and shaking, trying. First one to get the jingle bells out of their box wins.
Yeah.
So those kind of games you can also download on YouTube. You can download like the explainer videos, or you can make your own videos. But the ones that are like, don't double the efforts. Don't go way out. But if you want to, and you want your leaders, your volunteers, whatever, to put together an explainer video that's super short and quick, great. Yeah. You know, and you don't have to have the videos, but that is a simple, just go download them and be things. And I would do like 3. Sometimes I mix them throughout the night. Okay, we're gonna do another minute to win it video or game.
Yeah. Yeah. So you could even look at this run sheet, and so it says 15 minutes, minute to win a game. You could just do a minute to win a game, get the winner, and then let them play who or what is on the screen, right? And that's how we're saying, like, you can weave this in. You don't have to do it exactly, you know, as written. Erik, how are you getting videos off of YouTube? Like, what's your hack for that? Because we all need to figure that out.
Yeah, I've used a lot of different websites over the years, and the thing that's been most frustrating as I've searched for websites is usually some like Russian thing that ends up having pictures or videos that I don't want in my eyes. And your pastor walks in going, "What are you doing?" "I'm just downloading a YouTube
I'm
video
getting ready
about
for the
Jesus."
Christmas party.
So I found this app. It's called 4K Downloader, and it's free. There's a paid version. I don't know what the paid version does for you, but I did discover that it has a download limit. Maybe that's what it is on the free version per day. But I want to say it's like 50 downloads per day, because I was downloading songs that I already owned but couldn't use through the iPad app that I had for our Halloween event, fall festival event. Anyhow, basically you copy the link and then you click the plus button inside a 4K downloader, and then it says, do you want to download it at 1080, 720, 360? I don't know why you would download it at 360, but maybe you want to. But you can also extract audio, just straight audio, and which is what I did for our fall festival event. But then it gives you, there's no watermarks or anything. So it's easy. And I don't know what the advertisement are like. It's like for upgrading. Yeah. I think that's the only advertisement on the little box that you get.
Well, we'll put the link to that in the show notes if you want to go grab that. It's always a good hack because we're always trying to figure out how to get videos into our presentation softwares. So at this point now, if you look at the run sheet, we go from a couple of stage or screen-based type games to an active game. So what is your, Erik, philosophy in going from seated games to an active game?
So that's a great question. If you're just constantly doing screen games, it's all screen games. That means everybody's sitting most of the time. Mm-hmm. And maybe now you can use screen games to be active. Like this is a hack that I love doing with trivia games. So trivia games has typically four answers. Mm-hmm. You put them in corners. Answer A is in one corner, answer B is another corner, C and D. And then they have to move to that corner. They maybe give them 5 seconds or 10 seconds. You can drop that, like the countdown or whatever, onto it. But they have to be in their spot, no standing like 1 foot, one the other. Yeah. And then if you're wrong, you sit down. Like, I love that version of the game. Mm-hmm. It makes it go quicker. You typically don't do all the questions. But the idea of some watching, like not every student wants to play. Mm-hmm. Some just want to sit and watch. And I've come to a place where I don't force students to play games because everybody's not me. Yeah. And so I want to be up. Yeah, take me. We were just at this couple's weekend away, and there was a comedy show. We thought it was a murder mystery, but it was like a comedy show. But they invited people up on stage to participate in this game. And I was like, hands up. Yep. That's not everybody. Right. My wife's not going up there. I know tons of students who are not going to raise their hands and, quite frankly, don't want to go do the active stuff. And that's okay. I remind my volunteers, we're not forcing students to play games. If they just want to sit and watch and engage, they might actually still be having fun. But I think having a variety of types of games, I think is really important. Getting them moving, getting them active. It helps the brain to go, oh, something new, something new, something new. I'm not sitting bored and zoning out.
Yeah, I remember one time I had a student say, because we did a lot of screen games in just this era that we were in, I was in, I guess, and she was like, I don't have fun coming to church, because we would do a lot of either or games. I don't have fun coming to church and just walking to one side of the room or the other. I want to play dodgeball and throw a ball at your head. Like, that was what this girl was saying. This girl, right? Like, because you often think, like, oh, the girls, man, I want to play the active games. Like, this girl was like, no, I want to do something. So I always want to try and tap into that, too, for students, because a lot of times we maybe default, to something, thinking that they don't want to do the active and get sweaty game, and that just might not be the case. So this is a good time, especially in this scope, to divvy it up, right? We've been sitting now for 25, 30 minutes. Let's get them moving. So it's great. Then we're moving to a white elephant gift exchange. So how are you, I guess another conversation, communication. Are we communicating from the get-go that this is a white elephant gift exchange, that they have to bring that?
Absolutely.
What about kids who don't have one? How do you account for all that type of stuff?
Yeah, so all promotions, cards, text, Instagram, videos, any promotion is going to include white elephant gift exchange. Now, I learned on The Office they called it Yankee swap, but I've never called it that. But I make that like almost the central thing to the event. I make it the big deal. So I'm like, don't go out and spend $20-$50 at the store. Find something in your garage or your closet. Make it funny. Make it like something that somebody would be surprised that they got that.
Yeah.
But there's also going to be those in there that people want to steal, right? Because, oh, I really wanted that. Or somebody else is like, you wanted that? Are you kidding me? But I make it, but that also, because I know some students are going to show up because they were invited or they forgot or whatever, and they didn't know there was a white elephant gift exchange. I got a bunch of extras wrapped, ready to go, based on how many gifts are under the tree and how many students we have in the room.
Yep. That's great. I was actually just thinking, how many of us as youth pastors have a closet full of junk that we have a supply for, thing that we have used before and are thinking to ourselves, we will use again one day? I mean, right now I'm looking at a University of Texas blanket that we bought like over a year ago. I don't know why I have that in here. I give it to someone, right? Like, that's the whole point. You can kind of go shopping for your students in your youth closet and have some white elephant gifts sitting, because there's always going to be people who forget. So it's great. Yeah. Love it. How do you play then?
I think I've had a couple of issues where we've had too many students and it's just going to take forever. So if that's the case, because you kind of know, you can have a rough guess as to how many students are going to show up to an event based on the history, right?
Right.
Our Christmas event this past year was the biggest thing we'd done since I got there. So I'm glad I planned ahead for more than what I was thinking that was normally coming.
Yeah, that's great.
But I've had a guy's Christmas tree and a girl's Christmas tree. If you're a larger ministry, do it with small groups. And, and if there's students obviously going to show up that are visitors or first-time guests, they don't have a small group leader, but go with a student that they came with. Yep. Right. So maybe you have your volunteers who are leading small groups. Go put your gift, if you know it's with somebody, if you're just showing up and you're not with anybody, just choose somebody that you can go to. And that's where you'll do your white elephant gift exchange. Yeah,
that's good. And you got to probably think through and account for that piece too at the welcome. As people are coming in, they're going to be walking with gifts, especially guests. You're going to want to be capturing their information, but you also, if they didn't know about the white elephant gift, don't make them feel awkward, have something for them, all that type of stuff.
Nick, I'm just literally just thinking this. I need to lock this down. I have to watch this video back, because I've always told them to put their white elephant gift by the tree right away.
Yeah.
But you said something, and like, have them hold on to it until you start the event. And maybe there's a certain point because then okay, this is how many students we've got.
Yeah.
It's going to be better to do all one tree or guys and girls, or let's do small groups. We've prepared for whatever it is in the moment. And then you have them at one point, maybe right after the welcome or whatever, put their
you can
gifts.
adjust. I was telling I have a resident, he's a year-long resident, I was telling him a story. I used to be youth pastor, and I didn't know if I would have like 15 kids show up or like 4. And so I was always having to think on like two tracks of any game I planned. Like, how will this game go if there's 15 kids in the room? How will this game go if there's 4 kids in the room? And so that really helped me early on, like come up with good contingency plans and the ability to adapt and pivot on the fly. You know what I'm saying? And so that's great. You can prep for all sorts of things, but then in the moment you can feel it out, and you've done this before, so you know what's going to work best. So be prepared, but also be flexible at the same time.
Yeah.
So
there's
great.
one other thing I want to add to this game that changed the game for me, because you have them like, well, should I steal or should I hold on to, there's that, like, that's the piece I think that takes the longest.
The decision.
Last year, I was at Kohl's, and I think it was the day of our event, and it changed how I did the White Elephant Gift Exchange.
Nice.
I found this die that had different things on it, and we'll put a link in the show notes. But it was like keep, trade, or steal.
Yeah.
And like trade. I'm forgetting one word. I think trade was with something that's under the tree. So they get a gift and then they roll the die, or they roll the die first, whatever. But everybody rolled the die. So you might have something, but the one I had, I can't find anywhere else. So the link that I have is just the keep, trade, or steal. One was like pass to the person 3 down from you or something like that.
Yeah.
So added another element, but
that's good.
That kept things going. Everybody got a chance to roll, and it was like you didn't have control over, and make sure the rules are listed out ahead of time. If your rule is something stolen 2 times and it's frozen, and the last person who goes gets to steal, even if it's frozen, make those rules ahead of time, because somebody's going to get angry if they think you're making up the rules as you go.
Yeah.
So
the last thing you want in an event like this is for a kid to leave angry. Like you want it to be fun, especially you probably want to have like an outreach flair to it. You don't want that kid to leave mad. So help yourself out, have those rules up and posted. So, all right, now we're moving into a message. So talk about your philosophy of having a message in an outreach event. I know some, people be like, no message, just fun. Like, what are you thinking with something like this?
I used to have the thought process of like, let's just have them have a fun experience at church, and then they'll come back because they had that fun experience.
Yeah,
and then I was
they'll
like,
be so captivated by the fun, they gotta come back.
Because a lot of people, like, their mentality about church, if they don't go to church, is like, it's not good, it's not fun, it's boring. Why would I want to be there? And then they show up and they have a good time. I'm like, oh, that's the hook.
Yeah.
But I've had since, and this is just my personal philosophy, since I've seen lots of students who didn't come back, and I'm like, I had the chance to tell them about Jesus, and I didn't. And I'm not saying it's wrong to not do it, but for me, my personal philosophy, I've got a handful of students in this place that may not come to church ever again.
Yep.
If I can tell them about Jesus, I want to do that. Why
wouldn't I? Yeah, absolutely. It's great. So, message one that you've done before, included in here. Grab it, adapt it, contextualize it, make it yours. You gave it 10 minutes, and then we're also going to include some response cards. And so they're blank response cards. You may even have some yourself. Use those if that works. If not, grab these, and then we made enough space on there you can just like drop your logo on them so that it doesn't look like something you downloaded off the internet. Make them custom, make them yours. We want you to win in your context. That's the whole goal. So message, anything I'm leaving on the table, message or response card wise, that you feel like is worth talking about?
I think on the response card, be ready, like have your volunteers ready to hand them out to everybody, as well as maybe those golf pencils that are cheap, like bulk.
Yeah, that's good.
And have, even if they've been coming forever, have everybody fill one out. Because one of the things on there says, I said yes to Jesus or made a decision for Christ tonight for the first time. I've already made this decision, right? Nobody feels uncomfortable filling out that paper because everybody's filling it out.
Right.
And you're going to capture some who maybe didn't raise your hands or however you do it.
Yeah.
I think that's really important.
Yeah. I like having just something on there even too that's like, thanks for this event, right? So there's some, everyone can fill something out and not be like, yeah, I wasn't ready to fill anything out. Then of course, I've had the church kid, like their dad's on staff and they're like, I got nothing out of this event. Like, thanks man.
Did you have fun?
All right, so then now we're gonna pivot. We're almost done. So we got one more game. This is like another game I'm including, one of my best sellers. It's called Emoji Phraseology Christmas Edition. It's Christmas movies, Christmas songs, Christmas phrases, spelled out from emojis. All the emojis come in at you animated. So it's fun, it's upbeat. It's one of my favorites. You can play it however you want. You can do contestants. You can keep track of your answers at your table. You can just do it for fun. Like there's really no wrong way to do it. It's just have fun with it. And I also included, if you run out of time, one of my favorite ways to use it is on social media. So I included the social media version as well. And so whether you want to include this in your run sheet or not is one of my favorite ways to kind of hybridize and keep your ministry going on beyond just your program moments, right? So you can include the vertical graphics on your social media as well, but it's just a fun, the whole point of it is to laugh and to be goofy with emojis.
And I'm just telling you, Nick, it's so well done. For those of you watching right now, this should easily be a $25 game because it's got vertical video, it's got vertical, I'm doing this for vertical videos, vertical stills, landscape, like videos and stills, and so many different ways you can do. I think there's a countdown video included with it, right?
Yeah, if you want to just put it on pre-service, like you don't want to play it, but you just want something fun for people to pay attention to as they go.
The graphics are amazing. The animation's amazing. Like it's so good. It's so good. I played it this morning myself, and I was like, oh, this is good.
Another next level thing I've done with it is I've given a phone with just like the folder of the stills to a student, and then I walk around and I film him as he asks people to guess the emojis. And so then I'm watching. It's almost it's like Taskmaster, like Mr. Beast style. Like you can take that and make it like TikTok, and you can edit. I've used my actual source files with the animations, but I've also gotten lazy and just taken the video and then just like use the TikTok editor and put like the emojis on the screen so that the people watching it see the emojis that the person's trying to guess. So that's another like next level way. I got literally every season you could imagine of this game over at DYM. So I'll drop a few links to those in the show notes, but use this one for the Christmas party. It's one of my faves. And now we're at the finish line. We're ready to wrap it up. So you have wrap-up giveaway. Let's talk just a minute. What's your thought process in that? What are you trying to do with the last 5 minutes here?
Yeah, so coming out of the message, I think it was important to do something fun again, because sometimes you feel like, oh, it's over now, but it's not over, right? So that's intentional. The message being short is intentional. Doing that game. And then just a final, like we were talking about when you're welcomed into a home, people walk you out. It's the same kind of feel like, hey, it's the end of the night. That's where you want to hit your announcements again. And then you hand out cards as they walk out. If you've got an event or camp or whatever coming up that you can give to them, maybe it's your calendar. Maybe you've created a calendar for the January through March or whatever.
Right.
Give something in their hands. Maybe it's the first time guests get the bag as they walk out. But this is the wrap up. Announce, thank them for coming. Make them know that you are really glad that they were there. Yeah. And then maybe you've got like a big giveaway. Like this is a great time to do that big giveaway. Like it's kind of the buildup of the night, even though the central part is kind of that the white elephant gift exchange.
Yeah.
But if you got a big prize you want to give away, you can also use that in your promotion. Like the end of the night, this is the last we're going to do. We're going to give away
AirPods or an Xbox. I mean, even if it's something cheaper, like a $25 Chick-fil-A gift card, like,
Can never go wrong with Chick-fil-A. And for those of you who live away from that, I'm sorry.
That's rough. Yeah. Another hack, gift card, Amazon. People love Amazon gift card because it's basically like money because you can get everything on Amazon. So
yeah,
we wrapped it up.
Then I do a
That's
quick prayer and thank them for coming, and then I have kind of the welcome team greeters standing at the door, high-fiving as they go out and handing out cards.
It's great. It's great. You can always throw a twist in here too, like right if you wanted to do a ugly Christmas sweater version of this, you know, give away a prize for the ugliest Christmas sweater, all kinds of twists. You could also make it dress up. I had a church I worked at that like they told me they're like, this is a hill we will fight, bleed, and die on, but we will do a dress up event for Christmas. And so like it was a gala, bro. Like I wore a tie and I hated it, but it was always our number one most highly attended event for the year. So I was like, I can't argue this, man. If this is what you guys are gonna bring your friends to, great. Well, we will do a gala. So you can.
Another hack too would be plan like 4 or 5 extra games.
Yeah, have them in your back pocket.
Yeah, you never know, and be ready to cut stuff too.
Yeah,
like we made this for a 90-minute event. Maybe you have a 2-hour event.
Yep.
Maybe your White Elephant gift exchange was done in 10 minutes.
Yep.
And you're like, oh man, we got lots. Always have extra games, and don't and let your leaders who are leading those games know that they may or may not play the game.
Yep.
And not to feel
that's
like,
good.
I'm so
well,
sad.
And I would just say like our program, we allot 90 minutes, but we would probably shave some of this so it's not all in the auditorium the whole time, because we have like a game room and stuff like that. Kids like to go play 9 Square and eat at the cafe and those types of things. And so we may program it for closer to 60 and then give ourselves 30 minutes, a few minutes on the front side and then the rest of that on the back side. So these are a bunch of ideas. You can certainly plug and play, and just about every asset that you will need is available in the download. If not, take it, tweak it, adapt it, spread it out over all of December, whatever you choose to do. But our goal is that, Christmas is a busy time for churches and youth pastors, so we want to help out, give you something in this kind of fun mashup collab episode. So any parting final words, Erik, as we go?
Yeah, I would say if you're watching on my channel, if you have not subscribed to Nick, like I said earlier in the beginning, this hybrid ministry concept of like, what are we doing here and online, like moving back and forth with those things. He's so good, much younger than me. So like smart with technology in ways that I'm like I've been trying to learn most of my life, but I'm trying to catch up to, like, his stuff is so good. So Nick, I just appreciate what you're doing. So we'll have the link on there, click subscribe, and you're not going to be disappointed with the stuff that he's putting out.
Yeah. And listen, same back to you. So also apologies. I think I just subscribed to you for the first time this morning. So I was like, why can I not find him in my subscriptions tab? So apologies, that's on me. But yeah, Erik's stuff, I see all your stuff. I just apparently wasn't subscribed to it. So now I am. You should be too. Great practical stuff. And this probably isn't the end of partnerships together. So we're just getting this ball rolling.
If you've got a game that you're like, this is a killer game for us that we do every year, it just hits, would you put that in the comments below?
Yeah.
Because I always want to learn more stuff. I want to, I'm about steal, grab whatever I can to add to what I'm doing. We'd love that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, man, Erik, appreciate your time. Everyone else, as you're downloading this, blessings on you. Hope you have an amazing Christmas party with it. And we'll talk next time.
See ya.